Hello YouTube, my name is Isabella and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be filming my October wrap-up. I read 9 books in the month of October, which I was thrilled by the number. I have now officially beat my record of books read in a year. The past 3 years, I have consistently read 65 books a year. I read a lot of interesting and great books in the month of October and a couple really bad ones, so this is a very interesting wrap-up. I'm excited to start talking about these books. The first book I completed in October was Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is my first Taylor Jenkins Reid. This follows a fictional band that has a huge rise in the 60s, and basically it chronicles their lives and Daisy Jones and their rise and fall as a band. I thought this was super immersive and engaging. I listened to this in the matter of days. I was hooked from the beginning and never wanted to stop listening to it. I thought the format of the story was really well suited. It is told in an interview format, and you get all the characters' different perspectives on what went on. So you have a couple of inconsistencies with the story, but I think that actually really helped flesh out the book. And speaking of the characters, I thought they were great. A lot of them were super vibrant and unique and crazy flawed. All these characters are assholes, essentially, but I loved reading from them. The only reason why I wasn't a huge fan, or why I didn't give this a full 5 stars, was I didn't like the final reveal in this story. I think it has some unintentional consequences to the integrity of the story, and if you've read it, I think you'll know what I mean. I gave this a 4-star rating. Really enjoyed it. The first physical book I completed in the month of October, I don't really want to talk about. It's The Testaments by Margaret Atwood. Not even going to bother telling you what it's about because everyone knows what this book is. Everyone has seen this plastered literally everywhere. This book sucked. It sucked. I'm honestly, the more and more I think about it, the more I dislike about this story. I only cared for one of the 3 perspectives in this book. 2 of them are from younger girls / teenagers, but they sounded super young, and their narrative voices kind of blended together and were both pretty grating and irritating most of the time. I thought it was interesting seeing the rise of Gilead and how the world kind of viewed this really toxic place. I did not like the fact that this book kind of seemed like it was coming out of left field. This book was primarily written for the watchers of the TV show, and I know that a lot of people who've watched the show have appreciated this book more, but I don't think I should have to watch 3-4 seasons of television to appreciate a book, especially when the book came first, when The Handmaid's Tale came first. It just seems so weird and so vastly different from the first book. Like, it just doesn't seem like this was a natural sequel, natural progression to the story. And near the end, this book got really fucking weird. It was so nonsensical, seemed almost like a parody. I had a feeling I wasn't going to love it, but I wanted to be included. I read it, gave it 2 out of 5 stars, simply for the perspective of one of our main characters. I thought that character was fascinating. The rest of it, I could have left it. I participated in Spookathon, which is a readathon all about spooky books. I read 2.5 books that week. The first one being The Death of Mrs Westaway by Ruth Ware. I try and pick up a thriller every once in a while, usually around October, and I decided to go with this one. A lot of people really seem to like Ruth Ware, and a lot of people seem to love this book out of the first 4 she has published. This is a mystery about a girl who has really been struggling financially. Her mother has died, and she's just really struggling to make ends meet. And then she gets this letter in the mail saying that she's an heiress to a huge fortune to this family member who's just died, and she decides she's going to try and con this family to solve her money problems. Thought this mystery was pretty decent. This book felt very cold and rainy and just really kind of creepy and unsettling, and I thought that was well done. I thought the mystery was a little remedial. I like that our main character wasn't a complete idiot. She made some dumb decisions, which I think is just par for the course in thrillers, but she wasn't like a total dumbass. And I like the fact that this book is written in 3rd person, so we don't have to worry about an unreliable narrator, because to be honest, in mysteries, I kind of find them annoying. I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. I have now remembered why I no longer film videos standing up. I like it because I can be more expressive and I have a bit more freedom of movement, but I have a very bad lower back and my back is on fire, so I'm going to try and get through these books somewhat quickly. The next book I finished, I listened to on audio as well, and I read Bird Box by Josh Malerman. This is sort of an post-apocalyptic story in which basically most of the world is dead. There's this thing that nobody knows what it is, but when you view it, you actually go crazy and you start killing a bunch of people and then you kill yourself. So like the world's population has been super decimated. Nobody goes really outside anymore unless they have to. And this essentially follows our main character trying to cross a river to get to a place that she believes is a safe haven. This flips back and forth in time, which I thought actually really added well to the suspense, because there are suspenseful moments in the past, plus where our main character is now. I think the flipping back and forth was pretty well done. Our main character was a little boring. I didn't really care so much for her. I found her to be sympathetic in some points, but I wish she would have had a bit more of a personality. I thought this was supposed to be like a terrifying book. People classified this as horror, and while it is kind of horrific and scary things kind of happen, I thought this was going to be like at the edge of your seat, just pure fear. I thought it was really entertaining though. I went through it fairly quickly. I thought the audiobook was well done, and I genuinely just liked the story. I liked the ending. I know some people felt unsatisfied, but I actually liked the direction the ending went. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I actually quite enjoyed myself. The next book I finished was a previous DNF. Unintentional. I always planned on picking it back up. But it's Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng. This is sort of a literary mystery thriller. The book starts off telling you that Lydia is dead. One of the children of this couple is dead. She is the golden child, but the family doesn't know it yet. And it essentially moves back and forth in time through perspective of all of the family members. There are 4 remaining family members, and how they viewed their daughter or sister that died, and how they view each other. This is set in the 1970s, where the mother is white, the father is Chinese, they have biracial children, and it just follows a ton of things that led up to the fact that Lydia is dead, and it was so good. Oh my god. That was not a great synopsis, but this was really good. I think this was fantastically written, excellently told. I just think this was a fascinating examination into expectations that society give you in terms of race, in terms of gender, and how that can like really fuck with you and like turn your behavior toxic. I just thought it was like so well done. We already know that a character is dead, but the suspense leading up to it, there's some sort of suspenseful moments that happen after her death. Like, I just thought this was so well crafted. The only reason why this wasn't a glowing 5 stars was it was a little slow to start, even with the bang of the first sentence. This was a great character examination. It also had thriller elements or mystery elements. Thought it was fantastic. Can't wait to read Celeste Ng's other book. And if you have any literary thriller recommendations, please let me know. The next book is why I haven't wanted to film this review or wrap up at all. I've been putting it off. It's Giddy in the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. Everyone uses the tagline to describe lesbian necromancers in space, and frankly I think you should go into it knowing it a little bit more. This is a sci-fi fantasy kind of meshed together story. It follows our main character Gideon, who gets roped into this plot to essentially become the bodyguard of the magical leader being necromancer of her planet. She doesn't want to do it, but she is promised freedom. I can't even describe this book because it makes no sense. All the really well-known necromancers from the surrounding planets all travel to this one planet to try to achieve or become this super necromancer, but they don't know how to do it, and then it kind of turns into a murder mystery. That was a hot mess of a synopsis because this is a hot mess of a book. This book sucked. It just had too many ideas, too many things that this book wanted to accomplish, and it failed miserably at a lot of them. The reason why I'm so disappointed in this book, and honestly being pretty harsh on this, was because I think this had the potential to be great. There are so many really cool ideas in the story, so many really cool ideas in this book. They just weren't executed well. This was an incredibly ambitious story, but you could see that it was a debut. It just didn't work for me. The fact that we have casual queer characters, that it doesn't really have to be a part of the narrative, loved that. I just could not stand the writing style in here. It was incredibly info-dumpy and very dry. The world building in this book is laughable. It is bad. You're given no answers as to how the world works in here in so many different aspects. Also, there are so many characters in here and their names are incredibly difficult and just dumb that it was incredibly hard to keep track of who was who. The characterization also seemed very, very spotty and inconsistent. There were some scenes between the characters where you think there'd be some progression with them within themselves and their relationships, but then the next scene they'd be going back to fighting. And frankly, I don't think Gideon was a great main character either. Sometimes she could be kind of snarky and funny, and I liked those elements of her, but it wasn't consistent throughout the story. I'm really glad that so many people love this book though, and that so many people see themselves in it. Wonderful. And the cover for the next book is stunning. I'm so sad that I'm not going to be purchasing it because I'm not going to continue this series unless hell freezes over. I gave this 1 out of 5 stars. This is so far my least favorite book of the year. So the next book I read was A Breath of Fresh Air. I'm so glad. I think I technically started this in September and have been listening to it on audio as I could because I had other audiobooks like come in and stuff, but it's The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty, aka my favorite book of the year. I've already read this book once this year. I read it in March, but I was really depressed in March, so I don't think I got to appreciate this book as much as I wanted to. So I read it again in audio so I could take notes, film a review, which I have filmed. It's just, I have to post it. I should tell you what this is about too. It begins in 1700s Cairo with one of our main characters pissing off this evil spirit and accidentally summoning this djinn to save her, and then they have to go on the run from these magical beings who are intent on killing them. They escape to a magical city and all these political machinations ensue. It's super complex and richly done. It just worked for me on every level. Please check out my review when I finally decide to post it. I also picked up In an Absent Dream by Seanan McGuire. This is the 4th book in the Every Heart a Doorway series. It follows a character we first meet in Every Heart a Doorway, and it's essentially her backstory. And if you didn't know, these books are these portal fantasies that focus on the trauma that these childhood worlds inflict and the trauma of also being sent back where you are not accepted in the world any longer. They're phenomenal. I can't recommend them enough. I loved this iteration. I think this follows like the coolest world. Oh, it's kind of tied between that and the one from Down Among the Sticks and Bones, but just the world building and the rules in this world were so unique and interesting, and honestly had me like kind of scratching my head at times because I didn't get it, but then I also loved it. I think Seanan McGuire's writing is unparalleled. It's beautiful. These books are written like cautionary tales. I think the characters in here were super vibrant and really, really stood out in such a short little novella. I wanted more. I always want more from these books, but I think that's what makes them so cool, is that they're so short and that you can get through them super quickly. I give this 4.5 out of 5 stars. And now I'm caught up in the series. I'm so happy to be caught up in the series because the 5th book is coming out soon and I'm caught up for once. And the last book I read was also technically a reread. It's The Golden Compass by Philip Pullman. Follows our main character who is an orphan who gets wrapped up in this plot of all these really terrible adults, and that she kind of has to try and save the world. What a terrible synopsis, but everyone knows what this is about. I technically read this as a child, but now I'm skeptical to the fact that I ever actually completed it. But this was a journey and I loved it this time around. I loved our main character in here, Lyra. She's such a fierce young girl, And I just think she's a fantastic main character. She's so brave and strong. I think this book is so well done. It's actually really dark. There are like true moments of suspense and fear that I have for these main characters. It does not dumb down in the slightest. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Can't wait to continue on in the series. I understand why so many people love this and why this is like a favorite childhood series. Can't wait to continue. I really liked some of these books and I can't wait to continue some series. If you have any thoughts on any of the books that I have read, please let me know in the comments down below. I would love to discuss them with you. As always, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye.